the United States may need help from China on Iran, but that did not stop President Biden from giving China the business at a rally where he was surrounded by American union workers. The president stopped in Pittsburgh Wednesday, where he called for tripling the tariff rate on Chinese steel and aluminum imports. White House officials say China's industrial sector is problematic on multiple fronts. They say Beijing offers significant subsidies to its own producers and floods the market with cheap alternatives. The U.S. also says Chinese manufacturing produces high emissions, undercutting environmental goals. Labor unions have also complained about China's aggressive shipbuilding tactics. The president says China isn't playing fair.
But for too long, the Chinese government has poured state money into Chinese steel companies, pushing them to make so much steel as much as possible. They're not competing. They're cheating. They're cheating. And we've seen the damage here in America.
CBS News campaign reporter Aaron Navarro was there, and he joins me now. Aaron, give us the scope of the president's announcement today with respect to China.
Well, it's another overture to the crucial union voter base here in Pennsylvania, but it's also another sign that President Biden wants his administration to ratchet up economic pressure on China. As you mentioned, he called for the consideration of tripling steel and aluminum tariffs from China. Right now, it's at 7%. That could go up to as 21%. Pending an investigation by the U.S. Trade Secretary on Chinese government trade practices when it comes to these imports. And he's also called for an investigation in terms of Chinese companies bringing these goods in through other countries like Mexico in order to get them into the U.S. tariff-free. And the president mentioned that he has officials talking to officials in Mexico as well about this.
Tariffs and sneaking in things through the southern border. That sounds not unlike what former President Trump talks about and wants to do. So how does Biden's tariff strategy compare with what Trump is proposing?
Well, it's interesting because Biden so far in the White House has not necessarily rolled back a lot of what Trump first instituted when it comes to Chinese tariffs. But there's two big differences when it comes to the scale and tone in which they talk about them. The scale, Biden, of course, called for a tripling of specifically steel and aluminum tariffs from China. Obviously, a big number to look at. But former President Trump, in his third bid for the White House, said in February that he would consider tariffs of up to 60%. When it comes to goods coming in from China. So obviously a difference in scale there. Also in tone, while he was president, former President Trump would kind of lean into the trade war language when it comes to tariffs in China. President Biden a little bit more measured, saying that he doesn't necessarily want a conflict with the global superpower. He just believes that their trade practices currently are, quote, unfair.
That's right, targeted versus across the board. Let me ask you the final question. The president made his announcement surrounded by those steel workers. He was at a United Steelworkers headquarters. Why did he pick that location? How important are steel workers in Pennsylvania?
Well, the USW is a group that has already endorsed President Biden, but according to statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor, union members make up at least 12.9% of workers in Pennsylvania. This is a big group of residents generally in Pennsylvania that translates into voters. And that's part of why throughout his remarks at the Steelworkers headquarters today, he would emphasize that he wants to keep these jobs in the U.S. for American workers and union workers. And it's kind of key to not only his chances here in Pennsylvania, but to his identity, as he opened up his remarks by noting and claiming that he's the most pro-union president in American history.
Aaron Navarro for us out on the road. Thank you so much, Aaron.